For our next short video, we're going to create a new document, not upload it or open an image, and we're going to make a selection and use some layer effects. So let's do that right now. Photoshop is already open. Let's run up to File, go to File, New, and I don't know, let's keep it at 5 inches wide by 5 inches high at 72 pixels per inch. I think that sounds like a good size to practice your skills, and let's change the background color to something nice and green. Yeah, green, let's do green. Let's go ahead and press OK, and let's create a new document. So again, just force of habit for me, I'm going to do Control J or Command J if you're on a Mac, and duplicate my background layer, even though it's not an original image. I just like to get in the habit of doing that to not be destructive. So after I create a new background layer, I'm going to go ahead and create another new transparent layer and move into my selection tools. So quick selection of magic wand, so I'm probably going to stay away from here at this point. Probably going to want to go in, make this a little bigger and easier to see, and do something with the lasso tool. But before we do that, let's take a look at the rectangle marquee. If I come in here and make a selection, you should already know that if I click again outside of that, it disappears from the first selection and it just creates the new one. So in order to keep and add to your selection, you should already know that if you hold down Shift, you get that little plus sign next to your cursor. Okay? And if you hold down Alt, you get a little subtraction sign in your cursor. So if I make one selection I want to add to it and hold down the Shift key, it is now added to the selection. If I want to add a circle or a square in here, so I'm holding Shift and I do it inside, watch what happens if I'm adding. It's already part of the selection, so it's not going to take any square out. So if I hold Alt, and I come in here, that's how it's going to make my selection. So now I should just be inside of these marching ants here. It's not really anything wild or any kind of funky selection, but I wanted you to see how that affects your design. So when we're on the layer, come in here and choose our gradient tool off to the left. You can come in and double click and come into your gradient editor this way. And you can add your own sliders if you're choosing a preset. Go right ahead, but I'd rather you come in and design your own from a preset. So you can just simply click anywhere where my mouse is and create a new slider. When you double click in that slider, you can add and make a new color. And I can do this for another 57 minutes by changing and adding colors. Not the best looking gradient, but let's start there and let's press OK. And you'll see this is the gradient I chose. And you have a couple different options here. You have a diamond gradient, reflected gradient, an angled gradient, radial gradient, and a linear gradient. Let's choose a linear just because it's easier to use. If I come in here and make a short selection, you can see how tiny the colors from my gradient wind up being. If I come in and make a long selection, it spreads it out a little more. And that'll work the same way with your radial. If you come in here, see how small the circle is based on my selection, but if I come in and drag it all the way across, it spreads out a lot more. So again, not the funkiest selection I chose, but if I deselect, you can see how it works on top of our layer. So think about that when using your shape selections with your marquee tools, whether it be rectangle or elliptical. But you can also do the same thing with your freehand lasso tool. We're not going to use polygonal or magnetic. I'm just going to go ahead and use the freehand lasso tool because I think that'll make a lot of cool effects. So I'm just going to turn the visibility off on this layer and create another new transparent layer and go right to our lasso tool. And let's design just any old funky shape that has no meaning at all. Just add some sharp edges, see how it goes. Alright, that's a lot more funky than our rectangle marquee tool. So let's go ahead and let's connect that and close that off. And I think we did it. And let's fill it with another gradient. let's try to make our color make sense this time. So let's maybe start up here or down here in the darker color. Let's add a new slider. Let's kind of move up a little bit. Let's make a real gradient. Let's get rid of that guy. Let's change that here. Let's drag that color here and make the darker one right to the edge. Right to the edge. Now we kind of have a real color gradient. Let's see how this looks on a bright green. Let's see if we get this color to vibrate on screen. Let's press OK. You can see our selection here. And we already chose the linear and the radial. Let's choose angle gradient. Again, let's see how it looks if I just go short. Get that sharp edge and let's pull it out a little longer. I don't know if I like that line, so let's try, forget what this one's called, let's try the reflected gradient. Again, we'll just do a short one, and then we'll do a long one, see which one works better. And I kind of like that, kind of like those colors. Let's do Control D, deselect, get those marching ants out of the way. Let's see how it looks. So it's funky, right? We got a funky gradient, funky shape, and some funky colors. Let's add some effects to our funky gradient and our funky color. You can choose from a variety of options to put effects on your new selection. So let's click on one. Let's start in the drop shadow. So all those same tools that you just saw are laid out here for you as well. So if you don't leave this new layer style box, you can simply click on another one and add to them. So we have some blending modes in here too, so something that might be a little familiar. Let's change that angle here. You should already be able to see the drop shadow. So it's going to add a little depth. I can make it 100% opaque, but it doesn't really make it a shadow that does it. You can change your distance. You can change the spread. You can change the size, so it doesn't even look like it follows the selection. Okay. Couple of different things you can do. Let's maybe go to bevel and emboss. Let's see how that works for us. Spreading that out a little bit. Size, I like it around the same way. If you don't like where you're at with that, you can simply just go in, press cancel, and start again. If you noticed, once we went into our, let's do our glow here, our layer style menu, and you get the preview right away. If I go ahead and press OK, I can always jump back in. You can see our effects show up on our layer palette as well. So you can just click on those to get back in there, and you can adjust the same layer style that you were working on from the beginning. Okay, I think I like the drop shadow. So you know what, let's put it back in there. Double click to get back in there. I think I like the angle where I think I liked everything about where we were at with that. Let's bring it a little closer. The size going. Resolve makes a little bit of noise. So check out what it does. I'm really not changing our drop shadow too much. Let's press OK. And I think it looks a little different than it did when we first finished our gradient. What do you think? Let's go back and forth. So I think this is a good way to practice some layer effects. Artistically, it's not a realistic type of image, but it's something I think I'm just stuck on drop shadow. I don't know. I think I'm stuck on it. I think we can go ahead and even apply it here and I'll be happy with it. I like that it makes the gradient come off a lot more from our background, which is basically what it should do as a drop shadow. I'm just going to leave it at that for the second one. You should really go into your effects and choose as many as possible. Maybe not all at once, but try them, preview them. There's a lot of ways you can change them with opacity and direction and blending modes. So take the time, practice. But this should get you through the skills practice required for completing this lesson 10, I believe we're on. I think it's lesson 10. So let's end here for this one and move on to the next video.